All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, August 18, 2025 meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. I do just want to make note, our next meeting is in 3 weeks on September 8, so it didn't fall on a holiday. So the next Select Board meeting will be Monday, September 8. I'm not aware of any acknowledgements or recognitions. Does anybody have any?
No.
No? Okay. So first item on the agenda today is a public hearing. We have an application request from Brian Medeiros for a 6-month seasonal trailer permit for recreational purposes to locate a trailer at 94 East Beach Road. Is the applicant here? No. So is the paperwork in order? So my understanding is that this is very similar to a previously approved. This is just transfer of ownership of the lot.
That's correct.
Right? All right. Does anybody have any questions? Does there anybody in the audience have anything? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous with one absence. For license and permits, we have the following road use applications. Do you want to do this as one at a time, or do we want to do them together?
Maybe we should do them all together, but then if we have any problem with any one of them,
Okay.
hold.
So put a hold, say, I'm going to do all of A together, so if you have a hold and want to talk about one in more detail, just say hold. So we have a request I will entertain a motion to approve the following road use applications. Max Performance, Sunday, September 14, 2025 for the Buzzards Bay Triathlon. Mission 22, Sunday, November 9, 2025 for a 5K run walk. And Bish Strong Foundation, Inc. on Sunday, September 28, a 5K walk, run, roll. I want to note that we have a favorable police report on the first two, and then the third one is a new event for Westport, and they're repeat. The third one is new, but it's the same course that's been used many times.
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor with 1 absence. We have a request from Michelle and Brian Pay, South Coast Harvest Festival for a common victualler license at Westport Fairgrounds at 200 Pine Hill Road on Friday, September 26th through Sunday, September 27. We do have a favorable police report, and I know you're here. If you want to come talk about your event, go ahead and just come to the chairs.
Sunday the 28th.
What is it? Oh, it's so Friday, September 26th through Sunday, September 28th.
Yep.
There was a typo.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, can you
Nice
just
to
introduce
do that.
yourselves and tell us what you got going on here?
Hi, I'm Michelle Pay.
Brian Pay.
We are the creators of the South Coast Harvest Festival. This is our third Harvest Festival. Our last one was very successful because of the weather, and people are really hungry for something like this. We didn't have any incidents. We had lots of compliments. It's growing. We're involved with groups like Mass Audubon. We've affected their duck derby in a positive way because of their relationship with the Harvest Festival. They had a booth there. It really boosted their sales, almost doubled their sales in duck sales because they were a little more accessible and they had the crowds. We're working on educational exhibits. Do you have anything to add? And we're doing a fundraiser this year for Roadside Wildlife Rehab, which is our local rehabber. We're really fortunate to have a rehabber right in Westport. A lot of places have to travel many towns to get to one. So we thought it would be important to support them this year.
Yeah.
And where can people find more information?
SouthCoastHarvestFestival.com.
I noticed in the police report that it said that a request regarding common victualler and automated music license. Are you just looking for the common license?
We do have an inflatable bull, mechanical bull, that a vendor comes with. We had them last year, we didn't have any problems. You go slow, they fall on an inflatable mattress,
Okay.
that's about it.
All right, so,
There's no PBR bull
yeah,
riding.
because
or
it just
anything
said
like
common victualler, but he and his description said automated amusement, so I was checking.
that. We just wanted to include that, we have that one small attraction.
And we have talked to the police about a detail, even though we're not going to have alcohol, 2 officers during open hours with a contingency plan, just in case there is weather. The first year, we did not have a contingency plan, and we had 4,
We had lots and lots of cops and no
lots of
people.
cops and no people.
So in case
And
it
no way to
rains,
set
we'd
them
like to
free,
be able
so-
to discuss it
contingent.
with them and call them off if the rain comes, which it's not.
If they're not, well, technically, they're not needed because there's no alcohol, but with the people, we're
For traffic.
glad to have them, but if there are none, we would like to be able to cut them loose if,
Okay.
you know.
Okay,
Madam Chair, just,
Yeah, go ahead.
what were the hours of operation on that? I didn't, it might have been in the packet.
Let's see, Friday is noon to 8 PM, Saturday is 10 AM to 8 PM, and then Saturday is 10 AM,
Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday is 10 AM to 6 PM.
Okay, thank you.
what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absence. Good,
Great.
I hope for good weather for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
SouthCoastHarvestFestival.com for more information.
Thanks
you
for
all
your
for
Thank you.
support. We
Thank you for
appreciate
your
it.
efforts.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So the next item, we have 2C. This is a pretty common request from the Holy Ghost Club at 171 Sodom Road for one-day liquor licenses. For 179 Sodom Road, we have Saturday, September 13, class of 72, class reunion from 12 to 4. Sunday, September 14, 75, class reunion from 12 to 4. Saturday, September 20, 85, class reunion from 1 to 7. And Saturday, September 27, the Beach Boys concert, 4 to 8. We do have favorable police reports, and these are all pretty standard for them.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absence. We had a request from the planning board to reorganize the infrastructure oversight committee. Now, this request, we did get it from the planning board, right? So Manny did request that this be on the agenda last time. And then I think the planning board voted on it. So we have a 2-part request here. One is to reorganize the infrastructure oversight committee by eliminating an at-large member and adding a second planning board representative. And then the second part was to appoint Manny Soers. So Mr. Soers is not here and no one's here from the planning board. So I just want to check in and see if we want to address this topic tonight or if we want to
Motion to
wait.
table.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second to table this for another time. Is there any discussion?
My only discussion on that is, obviously, an at-large member leaves it open to more within the community. So I think, I'm just, if there's a planning board member that wants to be on it, they can be the at-large member. So I'm not entirely sure why we'd reorganize it at this point.
All right, so that's what we'd want them to come in and tell us.
Yeah, I was there for other reasons.
Yeah.
But it was well, it did, I understand why it was, but it didn't, I don't think it adds anything. I agree with
Well, so
Dave.
do we want to table it or do we want to go ahead and address it?
Well, I would just think to reduce the reasons to project motive on this is to table because it was coming at the instigation of Manning. He was the one that was, he was part of the discussion, very active in the discussion at the planning board.
Okay.
So,
You want to table it?
yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to table this for a future meeting. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 4 in favor of tabling and 1 absence. So we'll shift that and ask the planning board if they want to come talk, either Mr. Soares can come and talk about it or someone from the planning board can talk talk about it, so maybe just let them know. We have a request to appoint Paula Brown as the assistant to the town administrator, HR position, subject to successful employment negotiations. So Mr. Brewer, Mr. McGuigan, you want to tell us what this is about?
Well, I'll start if you want to jump in. Yeah, we had the privilege, along with Mr. Hartnett, of interviewing candidates for this new position. It's assistant to the town administrator, as it points out here, / HR position, because HR is important here. And we had a number of resumes, 70 or 80 or something like that. And we looked at 10 resumes and selected, well, initially 3 people, and 1 didn't work out, so it was 2 plus Paula. And we're very formidable candidates, and everybody put their best foot forward and made a good accounting of themselves. And it was, but we know Paula, and she's done great work and well qualified for the position, so she received our recommendation.
I echo Dick's sentiments on that. I think we had 3 very good candidates. I think Paula shined with respect to her kind of her relationships here in the town already, understands kind of how the town runs and many of the departments. So I think that was very helpful in us making that decision. But there were 3 very good candidates, but Paula came out on top.
So you mentioned 10 candidates. You had 10 external candidates or 10 internal?
So we had, we had about 70 resumes to start out with. It was whittled down to around 15 resumes that Dick, Jim, and myself kind of got it down to 3 that we did interviews with. And the 2 were external candidates
Okay.
From other locations,
Okay.
and then Paula.
All right, so I think the appropriate here is a motion to appoint Paula Brown subject to the successful employment negotiation.
Moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Paula, you want to say anything?
No prepared speech?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absence. I've neglected to mention, we are going to have an executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss a strategy for negotiating her contract, but we're not going to conduct any business after that. That'll be the only subject in the executive session. 4A, we have a request from Chris Gonzalez, the highway surveyor, to issue the contract award letter and notice to proceed for the Chapter 90 year 2025-26 paving improvement project to PJ Keating, 998 Reservoir Road, Lunenburg, Mass. Jim, you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so this is the yearly Chapter 90 program. The state gives communities money based on their road mileage to repair roads. The highway department went out to bid. I know we had at least 3 bidders. Keating was the lowest responsible bidder. We're looking at doing Main Road from Charlotte White Road to Benjamin Tripp Road, Old County Road from the high school to 88, and then from the post office to the Dartmouth town line. Sanford Road from Route 177 to Briggs Road, Forge Road from Reed Road to Route 6, and Union Avenue from Route 6 to Forge Road. And the total contract price right now is $920,447.50. We did get additional funding this year. The state usually appropriates $200 million for Chapter 90, and they bumped that up to $300 million for all the communities within the state. I'd recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Just, Jim, have they done any other road work in town prior to this contract?
Keating?
Yes.
Not in the last couple of years,
Okay.
but I know they've been in town in the past. They work in a number of other communities like Fall River.
I know there's some concerns with some of the other road work that had been done, the main road paving recently, so I'm glad it's a different, obviously, contractor doing this.
Keating's a very
Okay.
reputable, very good company for paving.
Thank you.
So now that we have I should have mentioned the fancy new website we have, where the new town website launched this last week. There was a little bit of a hiccup, but it did launch and is out there. I just want to make sure that we are communicating everything that we know about these projects in advance. I think we try to post it up there. I just want to reiterate that we want to make sure residents are informed about work that's going on.
I think we owe it to ourselves to look at things that we're involved in, maybe the site as a whole, but I did look at a few things, and there are some things that are,
Of the town website? Yeah, we can talk about that when we do the town administrator report.
But no, it's a little dated, so,
Oh, okay.
Yes.
yes. In other words, there are some things that were mistakes, and, well, they were lingering facts from the past
Okay,
that survived the transition.
yeah, I'm sure there'll need to be some cleanup work on it. All right, anything else on the Chapter 90 contract? Do we have a
Motion to approve.
Second?
is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor, 1 absent. We have a request to post the administrative assistant confidential clerk position. So this would be the position that Paula currently holds. And we
Move
put,
approval.
Second.
and we would post this internally first, or you want to do both at the same time?
Both, this isn't a union position, so we're not required to do internal, but we will do internal at the same time.
Okay,
Do we have a current job description later and all that?
The current one that was, I think it was updated a few years ago when Paula came on.
yes.
Okay, and
pretty-
salary requirements and all that, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Do we already have a motion?
I don't know.
Paula,
I
do we
made
already
a-
have that motion?
I thought you did, yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor, 1 absent. We have a request to appoint a preliminary search committee for the town administrator search to be comprised of 2 select board members, Susan Brayton, Michelle Reposa, Cindy Brown, and Chief Dunn. Which of you gentlemen wants to tell us about this one?
I'll volunteer.
Okay,
I've
go
been
ahead.
through a couple.
Yeah, and I was on the other committee. I'd be
Okay,
willing to do
go
this.
ahead, Craig.
Okay.
Go ahead. Do you want to tell us about what the search committee is about?
Well, Dick
I was
and I
volunteering.
were
It was
on.
you and Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was volunteering to be on the,
Okay, I'm sorry. You were volunteering to be on it. I just wanted to, like, how did we come up with the, why do we need a search committee and why these specific
okay.
people? I guess. Sorry, not being myself.
Yeah, okay, so we agreed at a prior meeting of the Select Board to hire an executive search firm for this position. The name of it is Paradigm Associates, and they did the last search. So we gained agreement there, and the lead gentleman, his name is
Bernie.
Bernie, right? Yeah, and he, what's his last name?
Lynch.
Bernard Lynch, yeah. Last time we had a screening committee, and he said this is a good idea because you really sift out a lot of things and have conversations ahead of time. It's all done confidentially, so nobody's job is jeopardized where they are now. And he said it's a very good practice, one of the best, he called it a best practice, to have this, and recommended we have the committee again, which would vet candidates and ultimately present one or more candidates to the select board for their consideration. So the other members we came up with these names, and they all agreed. Bernie thought it was a good idea, although last time we didn't have a select board member, he thought it was a good idea to have at least 1 or 2, and it can't be more than 2 anyway. So I volunteered if necessary, but if not necessary, I'm okay with that, with Jeff, with Craig and Jake. But anyway, so that's what we're recommending as part of the process. The committee wouldn't meet until after Labor Day, once we get the candidate list, which we don't have yet. That's Bernie's work at the present time. And then that screening committee would have first look at those candidates, and then we'd go from there. So that's the way that works, and that's why we're recommending it with the additional people.
Okay. You want to add anything to that?
No, I think my original concern with bringing in the search committee was concern of maybe people are already kind of earmarked for the role, and I think creating this screening committee in town will help us to actually look through, and we will be shared all the resumes and be able to, similar to what we and Jim had done on the town assistant to the town administrator role. So I'd like to continue in this role. I was able to work with Chief Dunn to get him on the committee and a few others, so I'd like to continue doing that, but tie way up to the board if it occurs.
So I just want to call it, so Sue Brayton is a treasurer collector right now. Michelle Reposa, I'm not sure exactly.
the school committee?
She's with the school department.
School department.
she's the business manager for the school department. Cindy Brown is on the personnel board and also the finance committee. And then Chief Dunn, obviously, the chief of police. All right, so I heard Jake volunteer and Craig volunteer. Are you
That's fine.
okay
Yeah,
with
that's-
them?
that's fine.
I'm fine with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So, do you want to have a motion to appoint Jake, Craig, and then the others listed?
I'd make that motion, Madam Chair.
I'll second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absent. We have a request from the Landing Commission to approve the Hicks Bridge Landing redesign plan. Is there anyone here to speak to that?
Of course there is.
Oh. Need this piece of paper. Hi, my name is Jeff Bull. I am Chair of the Landing Commission. With me is Wendy Henderson, also a Landing Commissioner for years, and a very competent, knowledgeable woman about how Hicks Bridge Landing is used. She's there multiple times a week and viewing all kinds of things. I want to break this quickly into 3 sections. It'll be the functional section of how the landing is used, the environmental realities of what's going on now, and the financial piece. Functionally, we expect,
I just want to, can I just pause?
Yeah.
Val, are you having a problem with the sound? Or,
I tried to see why.
yeah, maybe, yeah, can you shut off one of them
Or just
Yeah.
and then
no,
speak
no.
a little closer to the mic, please?
how's that? We expect this design will increase parking utilization 20 to 40%, which is about what we've seen at Westport Point, because people will be expected and typically do try to park between the stripes when there are stripes. When there are not stripes, people park all over the place, depending on the day. So, we think it'll increase parking. Second, because we will be widening the current entrance/exit, it'll make it way safer than what we're facing now. I don't know if the safety officer has reported to you. I met with him there, and he has all these drawings. I encouraged him to look at sight lines, which look better for me than the uphill exit before we lost the uphill exit. As you may know, the current boat ramp is 3 slabs that were poured maybe 50 years ago and are connected with steel cables. The slab that's deepest in the water has one cable has broken, so it is sort of fallen like that. And every summer, somebody backs their trailer down, typically 3 or 4 people per summer, too far, catches their axle on the back of the second one, and rips the axle off. Sometimes they retrieve it, sometimes it stays in the river. Many axles were pulled out when there was that large rehab of the bridge years ago. The other piece of that is we don't know how long that other cable is going to last. And when that other cable breaks, it will be difficult to launch or retrieve boats at low tide. In addition, it'll cost at least $100,000, if not more, to pull that slab out of the water should we ever rebuild the entire boat ramp without that happening. So it makes sense to do it before that breaks. I don't know if it's going to break next week, 5 years, beyond anyone's real determination. This will also speed up launching and removing boats, especially in hurricane time, because as you can see, there will be access on both sides connected to the boat ramp. People will no longer have to run around on the beach to get to their car or get to their truck and then go back to the boat and this back and forth. It's also a bit wider than the current boat ramp, so a second boat can be staged and ready to go. It will not be a 2-boat at once boat ramp like the state boat ramp, but you will be able to stage a second boat as the first one is going in or out, which should speed things up, particularly in emergency times. Environmentally, I understand that most dirt parking lots are 95% impermeable. So whatever oil, gas, whatever is in that dirt parking lot does wash into the river. By paving it and redirecting the water into filter systems and rain gardens on the north side, all that runoff will be treated, which should be better for the river. In addition, there's an ongoing sandbar building on the south side of the current boat ramp because for the last 50 years, the parking lot stormwater runoffs into the river, which is not good. Financial funding is drying up. I had hoped that we would be looking for grants 2 years ago when this started, and it's going to be more challenging now. I expect it will be dramatically more challenging every year going ahead for quite some time. So the sooner we can go and get this into a final plan place and permitted and chasing money, the better. This is the second major redesign of this plan. It's been gone through multiple iterations. There will be a final plan developed. The Landing Commission has approved it. Harbor Master Bill Chase was at our last meeting. He voted to approve it until I explained to him that he didn't have a vote, but he still likes it. And we met with the planning board and they approved it. So we are here today asking for your final plan approval so we can proceed to permitting, and then we start with the Conservation Commission and everybody else that I don't know about for permitting, for which we still have money left with the consulting engineering company to pursue the money and the permitting. There will be all kinds of other decisions that will need to be made if this plan is ever built. We oftentimes get asked about cars parking relative to trailer parking. Those will be decisions for the select board to make. I have to mention that this landing is really almost all your responsibility. The Landing Commission took on this project because we thought it needed to be done and there was easy money available. But you will have decisions to make down the road about how cars park relative to how trailers park and all of those kinds of things. And my sense is you will work those out as we see what the demand is. But getting organized does create the need for some structure, which it's really your landing. The Landing Commission is really primarily responsible for the land on the other side of Hicks Bridge and the Point and the head of Westport and Emmett Tripp. This one is primarily your landing, and those will be issues you'll be needing to deal with in upcoming years. With that said, got questions?
Thank you. So I think the first question I have is, what action are you looking for from us today?
We need select board approval to then go and have a final plan for permitting drawn, because I don't want to go spend more of our grant money unless we're certain that we're willing to do this.
So you're looking for, make sure that we approve of the plan, and then you're going to proceed with the next step, which is like the final permitting. So you, and you have
Final plan, and then go to permitting.
And you have funding already that covers that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we do not have funding that funds the construction of the project, is that right?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you want, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So you want approval of the plan so you can finalize it and get the permits.
Yep.
But we do not have funding yet to actually build it. So can you just talk about, like, the permit, like, is that required to get grants? Like, what point do you have to be at to get grants?
We have to have a final plan approved by the Conservation Commission and whomever else needs to approve these things. I'm sure that there are other people. And then once we have a final plan, we can get preliminary quotes. So then we know how many, and I may be reluctant to hear what this might cost, so that we can then go and start chasing money. So, without a preliminary quote, We don't know how much money we're looking for. And again, another good reason to do it sooner rather than later is that marine construction costs are jumping 5 to 10% a year for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I know you've done a lot of work on this, Jeff. I really want to thank you and the rest of the commission, because I know things have changed and everyone has an opinion, and I know this has been a lot of hard work, so thank you for doing that. Do we have questions, comments?
It's unfortunate that we're here today because we're trying to work an agreement with some abutters to use the current egress, and that did not work out. But my one concern, and there'll be a theme to my concerns with a few other items on the agenda, is on a funding standpoint is I don't want Westport to lose local control, depending on what we get for grants and what we get for funding. So I know there's sometimes strings attached when we go to the state or to the Commonwealth to get money and to get funding. So I think that's my major concern, is that whatever money we do get, it does leave local control here with the town of Westport as opposed to Massachusetts. So, what is your time horizon? I mean, on this is probably years, meaning you're going to start if we give approval tonight, you would begin the
I expect
permitting.
it'll take a month to get, maybe a couple of weeks to get a final drawn plan, and then schedule something with the Conservation Commission. And I don't know how many months of meetings that'll take for their review, and then move on to the next. And then primary funder, which is the Seaport Council, they have 2 windows a year. So I'm not sure whether we'll catch the next window or not. And then we will be then pursuing other funds in addition to Seaport Council. All of those will be with clarity that this continues to be a Westport landing. It is important to people to understand, and I was there today measuring some things. People from outside Westport can put their boats in and out there. They just can't park there. And that is true of every landing in the Commonwealth. That the water belongs to the state and access to it belongs, but we control this through parking. And we have been clear about that with the Seaport Council from the beginning. If something changes, then we stop. But then we just hope that ramp doesn't blow up on us.
And we've had experience with the Seaport Council funding in the past. Won't be the first time we've received funding from the Seaport Council. And my sense of that was it was never onerous. I mean, I think to the extent that we have state oversights, it's within the parameters of state law and regulation. It's not a control issue, it's a compliance and regulatory when it exists.
And this boat ramp doesn't even fit the typical standards of a state boat ramp. They would want something much more elaborate.
Anybody else have anything?
Madam Chair, as everybody knows, I'm the liaison to the Landing Commission, so I'm familiar with this project. We've got a long path in front of us, but I think it has to be done, and as Mr. McGuigan points out, we were not successful to get an agreement with the abutter. So we go into it realistically. We know it's going to be expensive, and we don't know what the outcome of that will be. But clearly, we should do this, move it ahead, and try to get it done.
As far as time horizons, you asked about that, I don't know, 3 to 8 years?
It's not.
It's been 6 so far.
So do we need a motion to support the design presented to us?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else going on from landing that you want to talk about?
The new ramps have been put in, the new floats and not boat ramp, but people ramp.
People ramp,
Get
okay.
out there, yeah. You should take a look. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
We're going to do some special work in the next day or two, just because we're not exactly sure how it's going to work. And storm surge, we'll see from Hurricane Aaron, but we are on that starting tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And for you to know also, we expect in the next 2 to 3 weeks to be opening West Hicksbridge Landing. We have final approval on that, and I'll be getting the assistance of the Highway Department putting in so that this will increase car parking and take some of the overload problem off the other side, and the safety officer has signed off on it. It'll be signed, that will be permit parking, just like Hicksbridge Landing, same permit.
All right, thank you.
So it'll be a nice spot. There'll be one bench there and parking for probably one handicapped vehicle and 6 or 7 other vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
4E, we have a request from Bonnie Strebel, the library director, to post the principal clerk position. Do you know about this?
Yeah, so the current employee has left, and they have a vacancy. They're looking to post it and get it filled as soon as they can. This is a union position, so I recommend posting in-house for a week and then posting outside.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 in favor with 1 absence. We have a discussion on Drift Road, Kirby Brook, a review Mass DOT response, discussion, and action. So Jim, do you want to update us on this one?
Yeah, so this has been going on for quite some time before I started in this position. They've had some studies done of the Kirby Brook Bridge, I want to say back around 2020, when some new guardrails went in, and at the time, Mass DOT came down and analyzed the structure itself and found some deficiencies in the structure, and has recommended that it be redesigned and reconstructed. We received a grant on the small bridge program for the design of the bridge structure. Unfortunately, they designed it to Mass Highway standards or Mass DOT standards, which are essentially highway standards. I've worked with the neighbors as much as we can. I think we've really pushed Mass DOT on a number of occasions. We sent them a letter, I think back in March, with a number of items that we requested that they look at and address to see if they could, such as shortening the guardrails, making it more aesthetic, and just answered a lot of questions that we had relative to the design of it. Mass DOT came back with a response and pretty much said, this is the design. If you want us to pay for it, this is what it's going to be. I don't see them varying from that design at all. We've really tried. We pushed the Mass DOT, and the neighbors have met with the Regional Planning Agency, as myself has as well, and this is their program, this is their funding. They've provided funding for the design of the bridge at this point, and they're going to design it to their standards with, I don't want to say no input from the community, but limited input from the community. If we want to do aesthetic type improvements, that would be the responsibility of the community to pay for those improvements. I will note that there is no money set aside right now for the construction of the bridge. This is going to be an expensive bridge. I don't know exactly how much, but I got to believe it's going to be $1.5 to $2.5 million by the time they're done. They do have money in the same program, $500,000 for construction. I'd like to think that eventually, once it is designed, the state will find more money to construct these. They don't normally like to spend money on design without following through and getting these projects constructed. We have the Transportation Improvement Plan, which goes through the Regional Planning Agency. That's where we're getting the roundabout funded. That's on the Transportation Improvement Plan, and that's $4 million plus projects. So there's other funding sources that are available. Like I said, once you get through the Mass DOT design standards, they do work to try to fund these, but there's no guarantees. We could get it designed through Mass DOT and not go anywhere for 5 to 10 years. I will say that I'm not aware of any funding source locally to construct this bridge. We just don't have the funds, within our operating budget. And if we use Chapter 90 funding, we would be using money, 2 or 3, 4 years worth of funding on one project. So without Mass DOT to get this constructed internally with the town, I just don't see happening. And I will say that they've identified deficiencies in the bridge. Right now, they haven't put any limitations on the bridge, no weight limitations, but at some point, we may reach that point where Mass DOT comes in and says it's deficient enough, we're gonna put weight limitations, which means no school buses, no trucks, no heavy equipment. It's not an easy detour if that happens. The school buses, to come all the way down and turn around all the way back up to Old County Road. So, it's a tough decision. I think the board's got to look and see, do we move forward with the Mass DOT design or do we not? That's where we are now.
So the option is to move forward with the design. If we do nothing, it just drops? I mean,
Mass DOT will just drop it.
but if we move forward, they're just gonna further the design, and then it'll sit there until there is funding available to fund it. Okay, thank you. Eddie?
Madam Chair, if I may ask the town administrator, but we do have two letters here, one from PAR, PAR Corporation, with some things that they are willing to do for us. And could you, we were involved with the discussions on this for some time, but do these meet some of the concerns of the neighbors?
I think it addresses some of them, doesn't address all of them. Things like the guardrail, they've kind of listed a couple of options, but there's still going to be guardrails there. They're still going to be fairly lengthy. It looks like they're going to be a little bit longer than what's out there now. They can do some minor aesthetic improvements. The town could incorporate some additional aesthetic improvements with maybe not short money, but less money if the state takes over the overall construction of the bridge. They're aware of the historic foundations that are out there, the historic bridge. They will look at some of the hydraulics to make sure that there will be no impact on the historic bridge based on the new design. They have limited landscaping and revegetation planning in this project. They've gone through they will do the historical review. They're aware of the navigable waterway regulations. PAR is working for Mass Highway right now. They're paying them. They're under contract with Mass DOT. So they're working for them. And they have made some concessions, but it's still going to be a substantial structure. It's not going to be an old historic bridge.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
So I've been involved with this project going back many, many years prior to my election here to the select board. And Jim has been involved and helpful in trying to engineer with the engineers a solution to the neighbors and to everyone here on Drift Road. And I don't see us getting to that point. We're going to probably, by the time this ever comes forward, it'll probably be a $3 or $4 million bridge. Just sounds to me like a typical $4 million bridge on a rural road that does not need a $4 million bridge. And to my theme that I discussed before, we basically have zero input and local control by working with Mass DOT. They heard us out in numerous meetings and then have come back with really zero options that we provided for them for an aesthetic bridge there. I mean, it's essentially going to be a bridge that they're going to drop in place, and it's going to probably destroy the country nature and rural nature of that road there. I haven't heard a single neighbor along Drift Road supporting this project or looking forward to this moving forward. I know Jim's talking about the weight restrictions. I think that would come probably as a welcome relief to some people, decreasing the truck loads that are going up and down Drift Road. I mean, there are easy solutions as 88 as the alternative for those trucks. I really can't support this project, seeing as how long we've been at this, and essentially they came back to us and say, you're not getting anything you want. And, the further down the road we go with them, the worse it's probably going to be for Drift Road and for the people that live on Drift Road with respect to this bridge that they want to put in. Thank you.
Are there any implications if because we started this project with Mass DOT, and if we say, all right, we changed our mind, we're not interested, are there any implications to that?
Ramifications would be a better word.
Huh? Ramifications might be a better word, thank you.
I don't think so much with this project, but, you know, I still hear, when I go to the regional planning agency about, there was a design at one point for Main Road here to put in sidewalks, and when we go for new projects, I still hear from them, well, you were funded for this project and you didn't take it, so I think the answer is probably not, but they don't like when they spend money and you don't take advantage of it. So I think we're good in that sense. I won't hold it against you, but you do hear about it.
Madam Chair, one
Yep.
more thing. I mean, I think there are, and from people that are in the know in town, believe that there are other bridges in town that are probably in worse condition. One already has a weight restriction on it over there on Forge Road, which I think is going to be getting paved anyway. So we're going to be paving a road over a bridge that technically is probably in worse shape than the Drift Road bridge. Unfortunately, I think this was all brought to the attention of others with the installation of the guardrails, which also caused some issues amongst the neighbors. So, again, I'm not supportive of moving forward, especially marrying ourselves to Mass DOT to give us essentially a Mass Pike bridge on Drift Road.
Is there anything else from the board before I open to the public? Does anybody from the public have any comments they want to make? Just need to go to the microphone.
Could I sit down?
You may.
Okay.
I think that one's not.
There we go, green light. Well, thank you. My name is Patrick McBride, 450 Drift Road. Couldn't think of a better way to spend my 29th birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. McBride.
Thank you. Yeah. But anyways, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you and discuss this, because this obviously is important to us as neighbors and residents and abutters of Drift Road and Kirby Brook. So what are we here to do today is to ask the Select Board to take action on the following items, many that we just discussed here. But before I get to that, I think it's important to note the two letters that we received, one from PAR and one from Mass DOT. I'm sure you all read them. I found the Mass DOT letter very confusing, very conflicting, omitting a lot of information, and in some cases, they just incorrectly stated and quoted the PAR letter. And I think this is important to understand what we're dealing with here. In the Mass DOT letter, in the second paragraph, if you read the second paragraph, Mass DOT states, in this letter, PAR recommends that the design dated October 6, 2023 should be advanced in favor of other alternatives discussed with the town that propose aesthetic enhancements beyond Chapter 85 bridge standards. Upon review of this situation, Mass DOT is in agreement with this recommendation and has instructed PAR that it may only proceed with the recommended design. That is not in that letter from PAR. It does not exist. It's nowhere in any of the documentation. So they made that up, included that in their second stanza, or paragraph. So that's nothing that they discussed with PAR. It's nothing they discussed with us, and they just put that in there. So just keep that in mind. So there's four things that we want to ask the Select Board to take action on. The first one, we believe that PAR's 625 letter addressing 12 of the 13 action items requested by the town of Westport in their 3/24/25 letter, they hold some merit. They actually should be reviewed and discussed with PAR. There are things in there that we like and I think that we would accept, okay? So we should be at least given the opportunity to have a conversation with PAR and say, we see what you did, we appreciate the work that you did, and we would like to consider taking action on some of those and including some of those in our design. One other thing we learned along the way was that we were simply requesting a different product type. We've talked about this as aesthetic, but in reality, all we're asking for is a different color, a different texture on a bridge, a different texture on a guardrail, a different type of post, a different type of guardrail pole, whatever. We're not asking for major changes. It's basically colors in product type. So we're not asking for a major redesign or structural overhaul anywhere in this process, except for moving the guardrails or shortening the guardrails. So we feel that this is the right course of action to pursue additional conversations with PAR, and we ask that you agree to that. Second, we also request that the town share the 324 letter and the 722 letter that PAR and Mass DOT wrote with the Buzzards Bay Coalition. Not sure if you guys have shared this with Buzzards Bay yet, but as we know, they are doing 3 culverts in Westport to a tone of $4.4 million. I think it only makes sense, since they are at the 25% mark in their project, that we take our project, the Kirby Brook project, which is also at 25%, and say, hey, 3 of these bridges are taking place and being reconstructed on Drift Road. We better make sure we're doing the right thing, we're consistent and concise in our bridge design, okay? So we ask that we have that review and make sure that we marry up with Buzzards Bay Coalition and Westport. Third one is Mass DOT says they will not pay for aesthetics or product variations. However, that the town can incorporate these product changes into their current design. So in paragraph 2, they say that we can't go forward with any design. In the second to last paragraph in their letter, they say that we can go forward with design. Okay? So if you read that, they're conflicting and contradicting themselves within a one-page memo. Okay? So they say if we go forward, that we would have to pay. The project cost will expected to exceed the program funding, and the town will be responsible for securing any additional funds necessary to accomplish the project if awarded a construction grant. Okay, so in one sentence, they're saying you can't go forward, and the next sentence says if you do go forward with the design, you're going to have to pay for it. Okay, how are we going to pay for it? We don't know. How much is these product changes going to be? What do you think, product changes? Probably $30,000 to $40,000. If you shave everything off, we're probably talking about $40,000 difference from what we're asking for and what the state is doing. If you look at the stamped concrete culvert, if you look at the wood over steel is half the price. If we shorten the guardrail by moving the pole and not blocking my driveway, okay, you're going to save considerable money there as well. You can also recycle the existing guardrail. So there's a lot of savings that we're actually recommending that is not acknowledged by PAR or by Mass DOT. Okay, so we didn't take any. I mean, it's going to cost $30,000, $40,000. Where can you get this money? Chapter 90. This can be paid for by Chapter 90 money. You can say in 2028, when we get to this point, let's hold $40,000 or $50,000 out to pay for these product changes or that. But we need to get these into the design, because if we go forward with a design as written right now, we're never going to be able to add to it, okay? And as Jake has said, we're losing control of our own roads. These are Westport roads. We cannot lose control of these Westport roads.
But what I hear you saying is a little bit different than what Jake said, which is, he's saying, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I've looked at it, I've studied it. What you're saying is,
If we go forward, we would put a design, our design elements in it that we want.
right, so that there's a room, so at a minimum, if we don't drop it all together, we try to create what I would call sort of a, for lack of a better term, a negotiating committee, where neighbors are represented, somebody with some technical expertise in the area, knowledge of this and the project, to look at, and I agree with you. I mean, aesthetics do mean a lot. It is not a great location to put something that is a rather dark concrete structure. Yet you can dress it up a little bit with paint and with some veneers that could soften the look. Doesn't reduce the size, from what I understand.
Right. It does not.
It keeps it the same. But if the neighbors are looking, I mean, there's two approaches. I think if I was a neighbor, I'd want is it, well, there's a trade-off for lack of access. I don't like trucks going down my street. I'm on a side street too, and I don't live far from Forge Road, and I'm surprised when I see the weight limitations on the bridge, because there's two factories right near that bridge where the weight limits are. And there's some big trucks, you know, going in and out of there on a fairly regular basis. So, you know, if there are over there, then you'll never get rid of that, even with the weight limits and limitations posted. Now, is that a safety hazard? I don't know, but
The bridge will be, I think, 10 feet wider in all. It's going to be a 32-foot concrete culvert, and right now it's 22 feet, so it will be wider.
So you had 4 points. I think you got to 3.
Yeah. And the last one is, we're asking that the Select Board do not approve the plan as proposed on October 6, 2023, as this would set a precedent of taking a cheap, easy, simple approach, release our streets and roads to the state of Massachusetts, and deliver a major detrimental impact to the rural and historic nature of the town of Westport, and would leave a long and lasting silver scar on the wonderful windy road, Drift Road. So I'm saying, if we're going to approve it, let's make adjustments to the design that PAR pointed out. And if not, if we don't want to do that, then I would say do not approve it and put it on the shelf.
All right, thank you. So Jim, you said earlier, so the letters here, PAR is saying, so the DOT has told PAR not to work on this anymore, right? So they're being paid by DOT, is that right?
That's correct, yep.
So the reason that PAR isn't entertaining any more requests from us is because DOT has told them not to, right? Or it appears that way from the letter.
According to Mass DOT, they've already put additional time in Westport, much more than they have with other communities. We actually paid additional funding to PAR directly to provide an additional public hearing.
All right,
So
okay,
Mass DOT is shutting off the funding.
okay, all right, go ahead.
So, Madam Chair, what Craig laid out, rational and reasonable, and that's what we've been trying to do for 3 or 4 years. And I think we, as Patrick laid out, reasonable concessions, things to make it work for rural roads. So I agree with you completely. My fear is that if we approve it in this current fashion, Mass DOT will just keep saying, yep, okay, it's approved, we're moving forward with what we're going to move forward with. Everyone, Jim, the neighbors have been at the table working with PAR on what we thought was, a reasonable basis, and having a good discussion with them. They were on our side, but now we're at the point now where Mass DOT is saying, nope, no more further changes, aesthetic changes, we're not going to do it. And so my concern is if we do approve the Mass DOT design, I don't know if we're going to have any ability to negotiate at the table. We've been trying for a while, and I think the point that Patrick was laying out with point number 4. But I agree with you completely. I don't know if we can get there. We've been trying to get there, but.
But if we don't approve it, then, so the state goes away because we didn't approve it, we were stopping the project. And then it basically just stays as it is right now, right? So the original thing that led to this is that the neighbors were unhappy with the current installation, right? But I don't think, so we sought this project to kind of try to find somebody to pay for a more aesthetic bridge, right? And we knew that was risky at the time, we realized the risk, right? But I think that if we don't move forward with this, I think what we're gonna get is the status quo, exactly what it is now. I don't think there's another option here. Now, if in the future at some point we get cited for something that we need to repair, then I think we'd look at it. But I'm actually okay with stopping it. I don't think it's reasonable at this point. But I just wanted to point out that I think it means the guardrail and everything that's there is what's going to stay there.
I think at this point, and I don't want to speak for all the neighbors, but, we'd be happier with that, and we did at one point talk about painting the guardrail. So, again, that's...
And Madam Chair, I think your point is true, is correct, but, as Patrick pointed out, there's been 3 culverts at Buzzards Bay looking at on Drift Road in the tune of, let's say they're $1 million apiece. Why are we dealing with a $4 million bridge that we don't
Maybe
have
that's
funding
an
to?
alternative.
Right? Maybe there's an alternative. If not in this round,
Right.
maybe Buzzards Bay can bring up get funding or fundraiser or something along those lines to address this one. People in the neighborhood where we're at look at the culvert that they did, I guess, south of Hicks Bridge. Very similar in the crossing, but it's aesthetic. You don't even know it's there compared to what would be dropped in. So I think there are options. If the town would have to kick in money, I think the money we'd have to match their money would probably be what we could do a regular culvert for.
Could I just, David Lalima, I live on Drift Road. I think the one nuanced piece that Matt Patrick and I were talking about ad nauseum last night was this, it doesn't have to be black or white, I don't think. I think we know that PAR has conceded, you guys, the town laid out 10 or 12 really good points, and I think under your name and Jim's name. And PAR responded one by one to them, some for it, some against it, okay? So you know that there's some kind of wiggle room, at least from the engineering point of view, even with the sense of rigidity that Mass Turnpike has. Because I think there's an opening here, and the opening could be, I know you don't want to, people don't want to renegotiate, we've been negotiating, it seems like forever, okay? But we could tie our horse with the coalition, because they are doing something else on the same roads and consistency. So why can't we negotiate with them to try to insert the kind of things? And I think Patrick and I would agree that we don't want we would like all 15, but if we got 3, if we got 4, if we got some measure of aesthetics or sensibility, they don't want to give us anything. They just want to give us a Mass Turnpike bridge. And so I think by saying okay, they win. Okay, unless Jim can tell me otherwise, like, okay, you said okay, but if you get something from the coalition, we can add it on. Well, okay, if I trust them to say, then, okay, that's a different set of dynamics. But right now, it feels like it's yes or no. Okay, that's what it feels like. Now, I don't know if it's yes or no. Jim might be able to answer that. But maybe what we want is, I said to Patrick last night, nobody wants to be negotiating for the next 3 years. We've been talking about this for 4 years. Okay, so we're getting older by the minute here. So what we want is a solution. And some of the things we want are not that, quite frankly, not that expensive. Okay, that would change the way the bridge, it's not going to change, it's going to look like, hopefully we're going to ameliorate some of what they want, but not to a huge expense. And why not saddle up with Buzzards Bay? Because they seem to be in a better negotiating position than we are. We haven't gotten we've gotten somewhere. I thought between your letter and their letter, there was wiggle room, and then all of a sudden, the state comes along and basically says there's no wiggle room. It's over. Yes or no? Which sort of makes you feel like, that isn't a small bridge project. It just doesn't feel like a small bridge project. So I think we talked about last night trying to figure out for you, because I kept asking him, when they're going to ask you, what do you want, Patrick? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And I think what we want is some of these things to be incorporated in this contract. How they get in, who pays for them, I don't know. But maybe the answer is Buzzards Bay or Chapter 90. I don't know that. But I think that's the nuance that I feel like we need to talk about.
Thank you. Did you want to?
I was just going to say that in our 5 years at this bridge reconnaissance, we've looked at a lot of work that Buzzards Bay Coalition has done, and they have done some really, really nice work, working with the town and the state, Mattapoisett and others, constructing bridges that are aesthetically pleasing, safe, and I think relatively easy and well-managed projects. I mean, I've had numerous conversations with the woman that works with Jim at Buzzards Bay Coalition, and she's been very responsive, and they're on top of it. It's taken a lot of pressure off of us as a town, and I don't know about Jim, but they seem to have it very well managed and are very communicative and willing to listen, and have, I think, the environment and the people in mind as they design.
Has the Buzzards Bay Coalition been directly involved in this project, or just consulted?
No, they have not been involved at all. We did reach out to them, I think probably 2 years ago or so, and I think they said, we have others underway, so our plate is full then. But I agree with everyone that we should probably look at bringing them in, hitching our wagon to them.
Is there anyone else from the public? So I think right now, the decision that we need to make right now is, do we proceed with the Mass DOT design, or do we not? I think that's, and then if we don't, then we can explore other options. But I think that's the question right now.
I think if we choose not to proceed with their option, we should do it in such a way that leaves the door open to negotiation, but saying that the way this letter was constructed, we find it difficult to accept the conditions as presented because it limits our ability to negotiate what we believe are some fairly straightforward, common sense approaches to this. And then, you know, maybe there should be pressure applied through other channels, so to speak, including Buzzards Bay Coalition, because if they're doing these in other communities, they're doing those works with the same people that we're dealing with on this project right now. So if they come in as an advisor on this, even though their plate is full, so to speak, they are, as a nonprofit organization, serving this community along with a lot of other communities in the region, and so they're part of our, so to speak, you know, independent sector support group network. So, and then, you know, there may be other ways through advocacy.
So for one, we're losing Jim, and two, he's done everything. I think Jim has done everything he can do. Now, I think you have some good ideas there. So how would you construct that answer that you just said?
Without with keeping my hat straight. Because I do work with them a lot. And not in this type of stuff.
Right.
A lot of other types of stuff. So, and I think there are ways of communicating with them.
Go ahead.
So with this, there's certain things that Mass DOT will not change, right? They're gonna want guardrails. They're gonna want them designed to specific standards. They're not going to deviate from that. So if option C is acceptable to the neighborhood, then if you could tell us that these 5 things are acceptable, these 3 things we'd like some aesthetic improvements, then yes, you can go back to PAR and Mass DOT and say, you know, we agree to these, we're looking at these 2 or 3 things, can we improve the aesthetics? The town may have a resource where they can fund it at a later date, possibly, to do some improvements. But we've been kind of going, this has been going on, like you said, for 4 or 5 years, and it's been difficult, I think, I won't say for the engineer, but it's been difficult for the engineer to pin certain things down, right? So where's the goal on it? If they do this, is this enough? And that's what I think they do, otherwise we're just spinning our wheels.
Yeah, I think we did pin it down with the 13 items that we gave PAR, and they responded, and I think they did a fairly decent job responding, but they didn't answer certain things. You know, they were able to tell you the pitch in this that requires a guardrail, but they were unable to say that the guardrail won't block my ancient way. They say it appears it won't. I mean, come on, they got everything down to the inch, but they can't tell me if I'm going to have a guardrail in front of my driveway. So I don't have faith in Mass DOT. It's been 5 years, and they've given us not even an inch. So I say this gets paused and put on hold.
Is there a reason that we need to make a decision now, or are we just trying to wrap this up?
They've requested a decision, it doesn't mean you have to give them a decision. I think at some point they'll send us another letter and say,
But
we're pulling out.
Do we want to work with, do you want to, maybe Craig, do you have some ideas about the response that we could send?
I'm forming them in my brain as we're doing this.
I'm not asking you to state them right
No, I
now, but I
understand.
think Jim is gonna need some help here. If we're gonna craft another version of the letter, I think
Yes.
Jim is gonna need some help here.
Okay.
Crafting it.
Okay.
So are you willing to work with
I'm
him?
willing to help work with Jim and others on that. Yes.
Anything else?
Well, Madam Chair, just in terms of the next course of action, getting back to the question of do we accept the DOT or do we abandon the project, I'm hearing something different. We want to continue, but in a way that serves our purposes and our requests, which are completely reasonable and have been discussed before. So I'm not sure what we exactly going to do here. I don't want us to abandon the project because then it's over. And we've got an aging bridge, and that will be a hazard someday. It could be years down the road, but that's not a good option if we can somehow get to some level of agreement. I like the term the wiggle room, because it's totally reasonable, and PAR seems to have been inclined to respond to that favorably, whereas DOT is not. So I don't think the show is over and don't want it to be over, because if it's over, that's it, it's over. I want it to continue with the possibility of getting some concessions, which have been outlined before and they know about. So I'm not sure what the
Well, I
motion would be
think-
here.
I don't think we need a motion because this is just a discussion, but if we're going to approve or reject it, we would need a motion, but if we're not going to do either one of those things. But I think, if you two want to work with Jim to craft the next version of the letter that goes out, then, then we can do that, because that would be not taking a strong position one way or the other. Because I'm inclined to just abandon it, but I think you guys have
So
some
am I.
fair points. Like, if we can engage Buzzards Bay Coalition to see if they're willing to take it on. But I don't think I think that's separate from the Mass DOT work, I think. But if you think there still might be room to get,
I hope there is. I don't want to project, to be honest with you. That there is.
I'm not sure it's there. Dick and I had sat in a few Zooms, which I think they were just doing to placate us. I think they were somewhat condescending in some of those meetings to both the attendees and to, at the time, the chair of the select board. So I know how Mass DOT and others operate, and I'm fearful of going down that road. We can put it off or delay it, but I think they're probably just going to want an answer. I'm not entirely sure they'll be. I think the negotiating time is probably over, and Jim may agree with that. I think that's probably what this.
And I'm brand new, you're referring to meetings that occurred before I was on the board. So that's why I've only been back for 13 months, so I guess it's now 15 months.
Yes, it is.
all right, so if you're going to talk, you have to go to the mic.
Maybe you should just table it. I don't know.
Well, I think, yeah. So I think, we don't have a motion to table. We don't have a motion. I don't think we need a motion either, but,
No, it's
so you're hearing the concerns, though. I think it's kind of pointless, actually, but if you
Yeah,
want to
maybe.
give it a go, then go ahead. I'm not opposed to giving it a go, but I'm not that optimistic.
Neither am I.
So, but I do
Because-
think Jim, we can't just direct Jim to go back again, right? I think he needs help with specifics. So if you guys can give comments to Jim about what you'd like to see incorporated or what you'd like to see in the next letter, then I think that would be helpful.
I'd also suggest the neighbors, any conditions or anything that you were looking for, if you can get that to us, like what you want instead of additional information, right? And you can ask for additional information forever, but if you have specifics as to what you're looking for, what your concerns are, either they can address them or they can't.
But I do think it needs to be limited to what they've already got on the table, right? I don't want to.
It's going to be on the thing,
Yeah,
what they responded to.
yeah.
Madam Chair, is the question working through Craig and with his other hat on and Jim to say, is there any play in this? Can we get anything out of it? If they say no, then next meeting we put it on the agenda and say, that's it. I have a feeling that you may get that answer, maybe,
I don't know.
but if that's the answer, then we take it up for a vote. But I think maybe that's more, as opposed to spending time and effort putting letters together. Maybe it's just through our other, channels
Or
within the State
legislative
House.
delegation.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's more than one.
so.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys leave, which you're fine to do, please don't congregate out on the hallway and chat. Go. It's nice outside.
It's his birthday, we're going out.
Happy
Oh,
birthday.
party time. 29, huh, Patrick?
Town engineer position. Jim, what do you want to talk about here?
So this has been kind of ongoing for a long time. We did put it out for applicants. We have not received a lot of applications. I think we've just received one or two. We do have one that's very qualified. And I guess I'm just want to get some feedback from the board. Should we bring this person in and interview him? Is it something the board wants to move forward with at this time, or not?
I've been against this position since
So
the
am
very
I.
beginning, so go ahead.
I favor the position, although I'm not passionate about it. I think if we had the ability to get Mr. Fernandes to work for the town, it would be a more attractive option for me, because I've watched him on the Route 6 project. I think he did a very good job. I don't know anything about his qualifications as an engineer, but I know was an engineer who was communicating with the public about a public works project. He did a very good job. I went to 2 hearings that he was largely major speaker at the Macumber School on the Route 6 project at 2 different stages. And if that's the kind of person that we could attract to a position in this town, again, notwithstanding whether he meets all the qualifications as an engineer, he probably does, I wouldn't mind having him on the team, so to speak. So for me, that became more attractive when I saw his name attached to it.
So I was against the position because I didn't think it was responsible to add a high salary new employee when we have kind of budget issues. But I also think very highly of Mr. Fernandes. I think he has done a really good job in town. And also, I worry a lot that we have leaned on Jim's experience as a town planner to get us through some of these projects that the next town administrator is unlikely to have that, or may not have that kind of expertise. So I think that if we have a person like this available, I think we should at least talk to him and see, because I can see that there's some value with the way that the team has changed. I still worry about adding a position with the budget problems that we're having, particularly since we're probably going to have to up the salary for the town administrator. But I think this makes a lot of sense, actually, and he's been doing really good work for the town.
And we do have, I mean, we're losing people. We have, in some capacities, we've had turnover in other areas. So the fact that this would add some depth that we really haven't had, with the exception of what Jim brings to the table, and not to repeat your point, but the point you made is direct, it's spot on, that we can't expect to clone Jim, and we may have a different set of skills that'll be very attractive. And so we should have as a board, have had a chance to talk to him, Roger that is, Mr. Fernandes, and figure out how this could work, and then go from there. Maybe mention that to him, that this was coming in, we've advertised it, but the lack of candidates caused some of the committee to, rethink it, but there's still some of us that want to continue with that, so.
Dick, do you?
Well, it's the money, this is in the budget, this
It is.
first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to say, I remember we had that discussion, and I was initially cool on this idea, but I saw the arguments in favor of it, and I could see in a lot of areas with this position, with a competent person in it, which I believe Mr. Fernandes is, can be very helpful to the town. We may at some point not be able to continue with the luxury of this position, I suppose, in the scheme of things, but I think if we have the money now, there's enough argument, in my view, to go forward with it, so I would support it.
Madam Chair, I'll be the contrarian on the board. I think with a new town administrator coming in and now a new role with an assistant to the town administrator, many of these projects might be able to be handled, in-house in that office. We don't know the town administrator that we're coming in or what kind of background that town administrator has, so I would actually lean towards maybe delaying it to see, who we get in there and if this was something that they feel would be helpful. I mean, I know a lot of the projects that are listed, are one-offs or, probably don't necessitate a $120,000 full-time employee at the current time. But again, I mean, a lot of these are done by some other departments as well or involved with. So that's my view on this, given that it's kind of in flux with obviously Jim retiring and Paula taking hopefully on the new role. Maybe there is more bandwidth there than Jim currently has, as opposed to the new employee.
All right, so I think I'm hearing at least enough interest in moving forward with an interview of Mr. Bernay. Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, go ahead.
Is there anybody interested in sitting in on the interview?
No, I'll do that, gladly.
Just one?
I mean, you kind of know where I'm coming from, so I'm not entirely sure I'll be fully unbiased.
I will, if he wants to.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Town administrator report.
Do we have to do a motion on that?
No.
Okay.
All right, emergency communications, Chief Dunn and Chief Baldwin, they just wanted to note, they wanted to recognize Keith Novo from the IT department. He's been working on their communication infrastructure over the last couple of years. He secured over $1 million in grants of ARPA funds to replace outdated copper lines with fiber-connected radio networks, significantly improving clarity, coverage, and reliability. The upgrade strengthens daily operations as well as providing critical capability that could one day save lives. I've spoken to both chiefs. They've said this communications has improved significantly with this new technology, and they're very excited about it. They also mentioned, we met with Chief Baldwin, Ralph Souza, no, Chief Baldwin, Matt Amendo, and Bill Chase, I think, was here as well. No, just Matt and Dan, but Bill Chase was interested in a code red type alert system, which would notify people that sign up throughout the community if there's an emergency, and what type of emergency would be left up to, whether the Board of Health or the Fire Department. But I think they'll be coming before the board in the next meeting to talk about that and ask the board if they would support that system.
I just want to underscore, thank you to Keith Novo. He did a lot to kind of get funding and manage different projects, all kind of while doing his real full-time job. So I want to just congratulate him on the work that he did there.
Route 177 projects, Robert Street Tickle Road Roundabout is, they submitted the 75% design plans to Mass DOT. They hope to get the 100% design plans in by the end of November. We're waiting for comments, additional comments coming back from Mass DOT. It's currently programmed in the Regional Transportation Improvement Plan with Serpent and the state Mass DOT, and it's estimated to cost about $4.7 million. We did receive another letter from an abutter that came in today that was sent to Mass DOT that they're looking for us to respond. The neighbor or the abutter abuts the roundabout. It's a new property owner, and she has concerns with the overall construction. So our engineering is looking to address that letter with Mass DOT now. Gifford Road and Route 177 intersection. These are both projects that have been, the design has been funded by representatives and by Senator Rodericks. This one will be a little bit easier. They're looking to replace the existing blinking light. The design has been done. This will go through the permitting process with Mass DOT, so it's not a transportation improvement project, so this is a much quicker process. They submitted additional information to Mass DOT on August 13th. As soon as we get the comments back from Mass DOT, we're hoping to go out to bid for construction of that overhead signal. Capital Improvement Planning Committee. We'd requested from the departments last week that they submit their budget worksheets for any capital projects that they have. Those are due by September 19th. We're also going to be sending out a letter next week or the week after for preliminary budgets from departments. Those will be requested to be filed by October 17th. Town accountant has finalized department budget turnbacks from FY '25, totaling approximately $2 million. So this is very good. And it's that's attributed to a number of factors, including the departments actually spending conservatively. I think they all know that we're still in difficult times, and this year could be difficult as well. There's some talk about possible 9C cuts, but I think that's a long way off, and hopefully that doesn't happen. We closed out a number of warrant articles that were lingering on for years that people hadn't expended. We had a mild winter with minimal snow, and savings in property and health insurance costs. And those weren't savings, but some of those costs were offset by one-time funds being used through our regional health insurance program. So they use some of our investments to offset some of the increases, which means those increases will be picked up next year. It's kind of like using free cash to supplement the budget. It's a one-time funding to keep the rates low, but that'll catch up to us in the next year or two. So it's good to have that a little bit of extra flexibility in the budgets. Our preliminary local receipts, they came in at 78% of actuals, which is very good. Ideally, I'd like to see them in between 75 and 80%. At one point, we were close to 100%. I think we're at 98% of actuals with the estimates. This year, we bumped that up to balance the budget, so I think we'll probably be around 85%, 83%, which is still very good. Hopefully, we don't have to bump that up this year even more. But right now, the budget turnbacks, the local receipts, should give us a fairly substantial free cash certification this fall. The website, we noted that earlier, the new website is up. We had a delay for a couple of days while they were trying to get through the different security protocols that we have locally as well as the company has that's offering the website. So that has been straightened out. I think we've all noticed that there's some things that need to be changed on the website, and as we use it more over the next couple of months, we'll pick up those changes and get those done. So if anybody out there sees anything that is outdated, let us know, and we'll make sure we get those off the website. If there's something that's not working or could be improved, let us know, and we'll work towards doing it.
How should we let you know?
I don't want to say contact Paula, but Carol Freitas has been the main contact.
Carol has done a phenomenal job, and sure Paula too, but I know there's been a lot of work.
For a lot of time.
Now, the question is, I think part of it, there within certain departments, there is no one accepting responsibility for managing content. In other words, this is a collective enterprise, I'm guessing. We don't have a full-time webmaster that's, calling people and saying, can you give us the updated information, reminding them to. So I think part of it is going to be making sure that either committee chairs or staff or staff liaisons to committee chairs, not being us as liaisons to committees, but that they're staffing the plant, by certain department staff, that they maintain that responsibility or accept that responsibility. Now, do you see a problem with that, Jim?
It's like the more information you provide on the website, the more problems you're going to have eventually, because it's tough to keep up, right? I mean, a lot of towns are getting communication directors, and the school department has somebody that pretty much manages their website almost full time. Without that, you're going to, things are going to get stale. And what we will do is we'll be sending out letters to all the department heads, and I guess all the committees and boards, and just say, please review your existing website, give us a contact person, and let us know.
Maybe even send them a link to the site in the event that they're lazy and they don't know how to go to the town website. I'm serious.
It is. It's a challenge, right? And if you're not using it all the time, if you're not updating it all the time, to go in once a month or once every month and a half and make some updates, it's not an easy thing to do. And we just don't have the staff or resources to have one person that's going to, where all these boards and committees can call Paul or somebody else and say, hey, can you update this for me? Can you update it? It just doesn't work. Paul is doing a lot of it now, Carol's done a lot of it, Nadine Planning has done a lot of it over the last couple of years, but it's still a challenge. The more transparent we become with the public, the more information that's out there, the more time it takes to keep that information updated. Eventually, we're going to need some additional staff to maintain this stuff. But in the meantime, we'll do what we can.
Is there one particular contact if we're a committee chair to send it to, if it's not up, if the committee's aren't on there, like offshore wind or anything
At
like
this
that?
time, I would send it, Paul's going to look at me, I would send it to Paul, and we can direct it to
Okay.
whoever we have to.
There's only a certain amount of administrators on it too,
Mhm.
you know, so.
Okay.
And what a lot of it happened too is they migrated over in May.
Mm-hmm.
So if you notice, even on ours, I was looking at it today, there was no meetings up since May, minutes and stuff. So it's gonna take the departments a little while to catch up with that. Even though the old website was up to date, they weren't going back into that again, right?
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like a really good project for some student community service hours.
No, Chair, we can trade the town engineer for 2 webmasters.
Good. All right, anything else, Jim?
That's all I have, thank you.
We have the minutes from August 4.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye, that's 4 in favor and 1 absent. Report on the bill warrant.
Madam Chair, the bill warrant was more mundane. If you call $2.4 million mundane, that adds up in a while. But last time, if you recall, it was $8 million. So this is a return to what I call normalcy, because we generally run for most of the year in the $2 to $3 million range. Everything was in order, and so we're all set. We don't have to vote on that. Look forward to the next one.
All right. Liaison committee reports or suggestion for future agenda. Craig?
This is easy because the 2 committees I normally report on, the Affordable Housing Trust and the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee, are both meeting this week. So I've already, last meeting, I gave last month's, they both meet monthly reports, so I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Dick?
Well, I'm sort of in the same position, haven't met with some of the other committees of late, other than what I've mentioned at the last meeting, so I don't have any to report. At the moment, no items for future agenda discussion.
Yeah, I was just checking my calendar. I don't think I've had any meetings either, so nothing on the calendar. July and August are kind of light on committee meetings. Jay?
The only update I had, Jim attended with police chief and almost all town departments on hurricane planning or emergency hurricane planning meeting last week at the fire station. Obviously, with Erin sitting out there in the Atlantic, I think it was a good opportunity, and I know Chief Baldwin and Chief Dunn will be probably moving that plan forward, and obviously Jim is retiring here soon, so hopefully the new town administrator can kind of roll that thing out, because I don't think we have really a solid plan in place right now as a coastal community. But I think all the departments, it was kind of eye-opening. It was kind of a tabletop exercise with how we would respond, and a lot of good things came out of that, and I think they're going to probably be presenting to us at future meetings. But I think there are some good discussion points, one being trying to get an organized message. Where does that organized message come from? We don't have a PIO, public information officer here in town, so having different departments put out different messaging may cause some issues. So I think that's probably first and foremost when the new town administrator comes in, to kind of figure that out and move forward with that. But it was a good meeting, and I know both chiefs will be, and as well, the harbor master takes a very active role with a number of boats that we do have here in Westport as well. So it was a good meeting, and hopefully it was eye-opening for many people. Thank you.
Glad you were able to attend. Okay, do we have any comments or statements from the public? Seeing none. We do have a number of board and committee vacancies. If you're interested in serving in the town, let somebody know. We'll find a spot for you. Do we have any topics under 48 hours? No. So we're going to go into executive session. We're going to come out of this executive only to adjourn. So I'll entertain a motion pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, where the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect To A, approve the minutes of July 21, 2025, and B, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically assistant to the town administrator.
Madam Chair, I, Richard Brewer, would like to propose we go into executive session for the items enunciated.
I, Craig Dutra, second.
All in favor?
Jake McWigan.
Aye, Shawna Tees.
I, Richard Brewer.
I, Craig Dutra.
All right, we're in executive session.